Hi there guys, in this video we're going to be checking out an Anaconda build that gets through around about 83 light years. I believe you can get it up to about 83.99, however that is not really realistic, it's just basically getting the highest numbers. Now I did create a video like this a while back showing an Anaconda getting up to around about 65 light years. Since then there's been quite a few changes and allowing you to get up to around about 83, as you can see here, 83.11. The main reasons for that is the engineers have obviously changed since then, allowing you to get a bit more out of your systems. There's also a Guardian module you can install that gives you around about 10.5 light years, so that just gives you a bit more. Okay, so what I need to do now is to show you the actual build. So to do this we're going to head into the outfitting section. Obviously this build won't come with any weapons because essentially all they do is add extra mass, and where this build is actually going to be used for exploration you won't tend to need weapons, so like I said that's where you get them. Obviously the same is true of utility mounts, so we don't fit any of those. Now onto our core internals. Now this is where basically you're going to have to modify everything with your engineers to be lightweight. So here we've gone for the lightweight alloys. I have actually modified it just to give it a bit more thing. You can see I've used heavy armor, but it doesn't matter because lightweight doesn't weigh anything, so it's not going to add any extra mass. Obviously I haven't really modified that too much. As for the power plant, you've gone for a 2D, which is just about big enough after modifications. I think I might actually have to modify this a bit more. So you're going to be quite tight on power, to be honest, as like I said you're sacrificing a lot of things to get this high jump range. For thrusters I've gone to 5D, again modified again. That doesn't really make a huge difference to the ship, but yeah, something you got to fit. For a frameshift drive, obviously you got to go for the highest modification and the highest one, so you go for the increased frameshift drive, and if you add mass manager on it gives that a little bit more extra, so you can get around about 61.2% increase over the standard. Like I said, this is something we've got to do. It's a bit of a shame that the mass is increased quite a lot, but there's nothing really you can do on that one. For life support, go for 5D and make it as lightweight as possible. It doesn't make a huge difference, but 6 tons reduction I guess helps a bit. For power distributor, this time I've actually gone for 1A in this build. This is purely just the smallest you can fit in there, just to give you some sort of thing. Obviously try and make it as lightweight as possible as well. I'm not totally a big fan of that. You could put in actually a 1D just to make it even lighter, I suppose, but I didn't see a huge difference between the two. I mean, you're talking about 0.1 of a light year or something, but if you really wanted to you could fit that. Okay, on to sensors. Now on for this I've put an 8D. This is kind of the lightest weight as you can do, and I've also modified it to get a lot of the weight off. As you can see here with the lightweight scanner, it's reduced it by 80%, bringing it down to 12.8 tons, which is quite a big reduction in mass. Next on to optional internals. Now here we've only just fitted a fuel scoop. I've gone for 7B because it's a little bit cheaper, but this is just something to get the fuel back in, which you will need. This is the new thing that's been added in, which is the Guardian frameshift drive booster. Now you have to actually unlock this by a tech broker. Once you do, by buying all the materials, you'll be able to put these on. You can only fit one per ship, and they go up to class 5, which gives you about 10.5 light years. So you can potentially fit this onto things like Asp Explorers and stuff like that, just to give yourself a bit more. Once you've unlocked it, that is it. You can see there's not much else added on the build. I have stuck a docking computer just to make things easier, but that doesn't actually have to be there. So anyway, that gives you an idea on the build. There are a couple of things I would change, as this is trying to get the highest numbers. You could get slightly better obviously if you change a few of the other things, but one thing in there is it did have quite a small fuel tank. Obviously this will add extra mass, which is something you don't want when trying to get the highest numbers. Another thing I didn't like particularly is the power plant. As you can see here, it is a 2D, which is barely providing enough power. You're going to have to manage the power quite a lot to get that. So if you go for something like a 2A, that should give you plenty of power. I know it's a bit of reduction in very top jump site, but it's not going to make a huge difference, but it's going to make energy a lot easier for you. I think it's been modified by overcharged just to give you more power for this same sort of mass. So you can see here it's had an effect on the maximum jump range, but it is not too serious. I think thrust is okay. Power coupler, I would possibly change this as well, because even at 1A and that, it's not going to allow you to boost. So if you want to boost, you're going to need a 5D, and as you can see it's going to drop the maximum a little bit more, but it's nothing too serious. But being allowed to boost is a very nice benefit, I believe, so I would fit a 5D in. So I think the rest of it's not too bad. I think I do need to change the fuel tank, as I believe a size 3 is pretty small, or 8 fuel is just basically not big enough. Obviously, like I said, you put larger fuel tank, it's going to add extra mass, but you do actually need it. So I would suggest putting the maximum in. As you can see, it will drop values by a bit. By the way, when I've just fitted that hasn't actually applied a full fuel tank, it's only at 8. So if I just refuel it, so it actually is full, you'll see the jump range will have dropped a little bit more to 78.67. However, I think this is a much more viable build, as you can actually now boost and you've got enough fuel to jump a few times without running out, as opposed to the other build you would actually run out pretty quickly. The rest of it you can just fill it up how you like. You could put in a few more bits and pieces, like a shield generator would be quite useful, just in case you bump any surfaces and things like that. Obviously this is going to reduce your jump range a little bit more. You could fit in the very smallest, you can. I'm not too sure which ones I've got. Obviously not two in there. So it looks like I might be a 4A might be my smallest, or 5D. I might go for 5D actually. Oops. I've got legal reasons on it. But yeah, that's what I would fit in. Clean module, then get rid of the bad rep and put a 5D on. That's going to give you some sort of shield without so you can bump a few surfaces and not get hull damage automatically. Again, like I said, it's dropping the jump range to 77.64. And then, like I said, there's all the planetary hangers definitely going to want to fit. Obviously this is going to add another bit of mass, so you drop to 76. But obviously having an SRV on board the ship is going to be useful if you're exploring on planets, because you're going to need them. And then you're going to need a detailed surface scanner and an advanced discovery scanner as well. These two don't add extra mass, they're just going to use extra power, and that's why I suggest putting a bigger power plant in, so you've got a bit more power, as it was very tight before. Now it's still a bit tight, but at least you've got a bit more power. And like I said, you can put a few cargo wraps, sometimes are useful just to transfer stuff in, just basically filling it up back up now. And like I said, you may want to put different things in, but it's a more realistic build in my eyes. So you can get 83, but you're going to be very tight on everything. Around about 75, 76 is more realistic for the standard exploration ship. But I still think that is quite a big improvement on before. I said the main two reasons for this boost is the Guardian module, which is gathering 10.5 light years, and a little bit better engineered modifications we've got. Like I said, I don't think I've engineered everything to the very best. I think you could get a little bit more. I might just have a look at this power issue. As you can see, a 2A is not providing us with quite enough power. Just wondering if I could change things around. You can see we got around about 75.83 light years with a 2A power plant. So let's actually see if we can manage it and get it a little bit better. You can see we're at 112% usage. We ain't got enough power, so you might be potentially able to do this, but you're gonna have to put a lot of things on priority. Now what I might do is might be a bit better is to fit a 3A. I know that is going to be a little bit heavier, but that should provide us with a bit more power and allow us to not have all these energy management. So let's try and fit it. Now, as you can see there, it was only modified by 1 point, and I believe that might be actually from the old engineers. It does look like it. So let me just remove that, and then I can redo it with the modern engineers. So let's just remove that one and go back to the remote one, and you can see it's back again. So I can actually, I just got to go run through this to modify the power plant and get it up to as best I can. After this, hopefully it should have enough power without all that energy management, and even potentially you might be able to fit a few extra things. Another example, you might be able to fit a repair thing, just so you can actually repair your ship in the middle of nowhere. I believe that might be very useful. So it looks like I'm nearly done with the overcharged. Just a few more goes. It seems to be being a bit awkward. Seems to be horrible when it just that little tiny bit it goes up. Anyway, so let's go back to our power and see what we've got. That's a bit better. You can see now that we've got plenty of power and we've actually got a little bit spare. So I believe that's a better way of going, putting a 3A, even though it's a little bit more heavier again, but should provide you with all the power you should need. And you might even have to do a little bit of energy management after that, but it shouldn't be so much bad. As you can see, we've got around about 75.68 light years after all that, which is still pretty good. Obviously it's not quite as good as the 83, but like I said, that was not really a realistic build. That's just really producing the highest numbers. It's not practical in an exploration build, I wouldn't have thought. So seeing we have actually got a bit more spare power now, I might see if we change one of these modules over to a repair thing for you. So we've got a lot of these ones already filled. So let's change one of the cargo racks over to a repair. So if we select this one and put a, say, a 5A, you can see there we've gone over power, but that shouldn't be so much of an issue. We could fit a smaller one like a 5D. That might be another way of doing it. It's up to you really. You can fit either, and you can see the 5A would have fit without too much power issues. So I would recommend adding a repair module to the ship if you go exploring. If you're 50,000 light years away from habited space, then if something goes wrong, you're kind of on your own. But at least with a repair module, you can get things back up and working. So I did want to redo this video because things have changed a bit since the last time. Obviously we are looking at a little bit higher jump ranges now, which can make a difference. Obviously with the introduction of the Guardian module, that can help, giving you 10.5 light years. To get it, like I said, you're going to have to unlock it with a tech broker, and to do that you're going to have to provide him with certain materials. Now they aren't too complicated to get. They can be a bit of a pain to get to, if you know what I mean, because there's only certain Guardian sites that will provide the correct things you need. So, and especially the Guardian blueprint modules, which can be a bit of a pain to obtain. Anyway, if you have any thoughts or suggestions, as always, please leave them below. If you do like the video, drop us a like, that is great. If you haven't already done so, also is to subscribe to the channel. That helps the channel out massively. Anyway guys, I think that's it for this one. Take care and have fun out there.